which is all about capsule dressing.
And your name again is?
Amy Elberfeld.
With?
Look what just arrived today.
Oh! Well, let me know if it fits, girl. If not, we have free size exchanges.
Okay, good to know.
Awesome.
I thought I said it
I thought it'd be perfect for oh, it looks good on a Zoom call too.
It looks really good.
Okay, I will speak more slowly and start over. My name is Amy Elberfeld. That's E-L, B as in boy, E-R, F as in Frank, E-L-D. No one can remember Elberfeld, nor can they spell it. So I use Styling with Amy. And I am an editor, stylist with Storyline Collection Fashions.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Amy. All right, Tanya, great to see you here.
Nice to be here. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to say who I am. I'm Tanya Tyler. I am a YouTuber and podcast host. My company is called Confident Strides. My show is Coffee with Tea. And what else were we supposed to say? I think that was it.
That's it. And I want to say thank you. Tanya recently just launched her podcast program, and I'm so honored to have been a guest on your show. And I believe it's going to be published maybe next week. So as soon as it is, I'm going to be sharing it with the world. So thank you.
Yep. Next Tuesday, you're on. Next Tuesday.
Thank you, Tanya. We're thrilled to be here.
Tanya also interviewed me. It was a lot of fun. We talked about customer service and all kinds of fun things. So she's doing great things.
Thank you. Thank you. It was fun. I learned a lot interviewing both of you, actually.
Well, it was a lot of fun, and I can't wait to share it with the world. Very cool. And Cindy, great to see you here.
Good to be here. I've enjoyed this week. Thank you. But I'm Cindy Stewart, and I'm a travel advisor and owner of Your Travel Escape.
Awesome. Well, we have enjoyed having you here this week. Thank you so much for joining us. And we're looking forward to learning more about Travel Escape. So, because I think we're all in need of it right now.
Yes, we are.
I know I'm ready to escape.
You and me both. And I just got back from the beach.
Thank you. Well, lucky you. Good to see you here. And Mary Ann Chadbourne, how are you? Good to see you, Mary Ann. Here, let me, there we go.
She's still muted.
She's still muted, okay. Well,
you have to unmute yourself, Mary Ann.
That's what I'm doing. Okay.
There you are.
Hey.
Hey.
Hi, Mary Ann Chadbourne, and as you know, I'm a Rodan Fields consultant. I enjoy your classes all week. They've been fun.
Oh, thanks, Mary Ann. Well, we love having you here with us here at Beautiful Faces Going Places. So, and your product line is fabulous. So I'll give you a testimonial right there. And Shannon, 5-Star Social Media.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Shannon Donestay with 5-Star Social Media. And I'm a social media trainer. So if you need to learn how to do something on one of the platforms or advertising, or you have a team who could use a little bit of training, then right now I'm doing all the trainings on Zoom, which has actually been working out great because then everybody gets the little recording. But looking forward to maybe doing a class, hopefully in a live in-person class in the next couple months. I miss seeing people.
Well, I can make that happen for you, Shannon. Yes, as soon as we can meet in person, it'll be awesome. Yeah, to have you in person and doing some trainings. Your online trainings have just been phenomenal. So, yeah, thank you so much. And let's see. I'm trying to see. I just want to make sure that we've gone around the room. And Deborah was our fabulous speaker yesterday. And I just want to say, oh my gosh, I had so many takeaways. And in fact, I don't know about you guys, I spent a little extra time getting ready today. I actually brushed the back of my hair. And I spritzed a little parfum on as well. I'm like, okay, what's my intention? I am going to show up with intention to give, to serve, to just have a fabulous time with these beautiful women here tonight. So, okay, Deborah, take it away. Sorry.
Hey, thanks for being a really good student. You get an A+ for paying attention. I'm Deborah Fawaz, and I own a concierge level image company called DD Faces, and I am loving this week. This is my second time taking this week with different presenters, and I meet a new person every day. It's been great.
That's fantastic. And you've been a phenomenal speaker and trainer, so thank you. Seriously, thank you for sharing your expertise. I think
My pleasure.
My other big takeaways last night, I can't help but share this because I've never ever thought about, you know, how impactful our first impressions are when we meet new people. And I've never thought about the fact that they may have seen me before I see them. Do you know what I mean? That kind of like, whoa, you know, so wherever I am at, showing up in the world, you know, someone might be watching me, you know, what's my behavior, my attitude, my energy, my whatever, you know, so that just really made me think a lot about that, you know, like, okay, what are people seeing when they see me, you know, because I want to give a good first impression and stay on brand and yeah, be all that good stuff. So thank you so much, Deborah. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and get started.
I think LoriAnne, did LoriAnne get a turn?
She is our speaker today, and I am going to get
is
her.
she gonna, oh, I didn't know we were having a speaker for happy hour. I'm sorry.
Yes, we are.
Thank you, LoriAnne. It'll be nice to meet you.
Nice and loose, just like a happy hour should be.
Exactly. I want to give LoriAnne a huge, phenomenal speaker presentation introduction. So, yay, exactly. So I didn't purposely leave her out, but I am going to go ahead and do a little screen share. And I know Shannon is going to be my assistant here, Zoom expert, to make sure I'm on track and on target. So let's see here. And I'm not on track or on target. So hang on one second. Let me see. Okay, let's share another screen. Oh, here it is. There we go. Okay, so here we are. This is what, day 3 of Virtual Business Week here at Beautiful Faces Going Places. And it's been, what an exciting week. I can't tell you how just impactful this week has been to see just a vision and a dream come true, bringing education, information, and resources to women in business and entrepreneurs and small business owners. So we're on track, let me just say. And I thought I would share this cute little image because I just thought of Deborah today as I was getting dressed. And I thought, can you guys totally relate to this? I mean, me trying to remember how to dress up after quarantine is over. That's kind of how I have felt the last 90 days. So yesterday was such a refreshing reminder that was like, okay, you can actually get dressed up and show up on Zoom. So thank you so much, Deborah. And I hope this made you guys smile. It certainly made me smile.
Hilarious.
Yes. So tonight is night 3 of Virtual Business Week, and I always like to change things up. So I thought, why not do a happy hour, and all of us have a glass of something and just enjoy a little bit of cheer together. So this kind of breaks up the week, so it's not redundant and monotonous, because I don't know about you, I like things that are ever changing and fresh, and you don't know what you're going to expect, and sometimes you don't know what you're going to get. So so tonight we have a special speaker presenter, LoriAnne Reeves. She is an international sought-after speaker with the mission to work with leaders, sales professionals, and business owners to maintain momentum and get next level results so that audience members and clients can quickly and skillfully navigate whatever market shifts and changes come their way. And believe me, I know we can all relate to that. Big changes have come our way. LoriAnne Reeves is a sales strategist and business consultant, author, speaker, advisors to leaders, and a professional psychotherapist. Empathetic, inspiring, and visionary leaders, it's time to release your superpowers. So please help me welcome LoriAnne Reeves.
Yay! It's always so funny on Zoom, right?
It is. It's like,
yeah, it is. That's why I did that. Thank you so much for having me, Carol. And I just want to tell you, Deborah, I have learned a big lesson in the last 2 years because I've had so many people come up to me and say what Carol said. I've been on your list for 2 years. I love what you write. Oh, I did that, and like I started to feel really shocked at first because sometimes when I write and I send an email to my list, I don't think anyone's listening. So, and especially since the quarantine started, I have gotten more feedback. So you're so right about showing up and in all kinds of ways, right? So,
yes.
yeah. So my topic tonight is relevant to what's going on. We're doing a lot of virtual connection right now. And one of the things, whether virtually or online, what's happening is people are doing the connecting, but they're having a really difficult time taking a connection to a conversation. We're all business women. We want to serve, but we all want to make money at the same time. And that's the struggle most of my clients have, is how to make how to build a business that really makes a difference to their world and the world, and how to have messages that people connect with and also make great money all at the same time. And there are so many business owners that come to me and want the first two, but say, LoriAnne, don't teach me anything about sales. But yet it's like a three-legged stool. It's the problem you solve. It's the messaging that matters so people hear what you're doing. And it's the sales process. And we kind of cringe on that third one, but it's needed. And because if you're in business, that's what you're doing. You're being in business. Now, what your number is up to you, but we can't shy away from it. So to me, all those three are the three-legged stool, and everything else builds on top of that. So I thought I'd just talk a little bit about some of the economic forums that I've been on. I'm going to be a little bit more casual. You can stop me at any time to ask a question, since we're a nice small group and we can make it a little bit more interactive.
That's great.
So what's been going on, as we know, with COVID and also with all the protests and everything, we are up in arms as a country, and we're up in arms in our businesses, and even corporate America is up in arms. But up in arms in a way that we're not sure where to go. I mean, we're kind of holding steady. And a lot of the economic forums are predicting that not so much that the COVID-19 will last the next 2 years or 3 years, but that the economic reality of what's happening is we're looking at a 3-year period. And I like to share those tidbits so you can be flexible, agile, and be able to reposition. I'm not so much a big fan of pivoting every single time because it can be so disruptive to who you are as a business owner. But I'm a huge fan of looking at everything you're doing monthly right now and tweaking here and there in your messaging, your website, how you interact with people, because it's really, really important. It's all, if you are, it is getting to the point now where what's happening is we are having the second wave of what I like to call the expert economy, and it is about to blossom. So if you consider yourself an expert in what you do, that your time is here, and it's now the time to reposition and to think through how you're going to have conversations with folks that you want to do business with and they want to do business with you. So one of the things that happens, whether we're in-person networking or we're online, virtually on all these Zooms, we see everyone's name and we can connect with them after through Facebook or LinkedIn. And we develop, especially women, who are so good at the connection piece that sometimes, I'll say a lot of times, we get into what I call the friendship zone. And sometimes it almost feels like family. And what happens, it's really hard to ask for money from family and friends. And so there's this, fine line that happens in connection where you've got to make some really clear choices as you meet people. They may be good friends, and that's all they'll turn out to be. And that's great. I love friends. I'm trained as a marriage and family therapist. I think relationships is where everything starts. Everything, business, personal. And we can tell how people are responding to COVID because they know, and especially in my state in Texas, I mean, we are escalating now because we opened up a little too early. And people are ignoring it because they're so tired of being isolated. We are connective people. We love relationships, even when we do them badly. We'd rather do them badly than not at all. And so that's really important. And what I have found with ambitious, motivated business women is that they do the connection piece so well, but they don't make the connection to the conversation. And what happens, you heard the introduction. One of the pieces about me is that I was a psychotherapist, marriage and family therapist for 17 years before I sold my practice. And I have applied so much of what I talk about and the psychology of everything because we're human beings and we are those relational people and we do business with other people. Unless you're selling a widget on your website and no one has to talk to you. But the types of businesses that I speak to and who work with me, there is a lot of human connection, whether it's through your team or whether it's your clients. Even if you sell a product, there's still a lot of face-to-face, whether it's virtual or not. And so there's this gap that I like to talk about. It is the gap between once you make the connection and before you actually ask for whether it's a conversation at a coffee shop or get to know them better, to have a Zoom call or a phone call. And it's usually what people call a discovery call or a strategy call. But in that gap, several things are happening from a psychological perspective, and it's where all the yuckiness around sales occurs. So there's so many layers here. I'm just going to talk about a few of them for you. So the first thing that happens is that, oh, I've made a great connection. She or he might be a great potential client, but I'm so into the relationship, I'm getting over, I'm overcomplicating taking it to the next step. Because I don't want to sound like that used salesperson, that person that the robocalls we used to get, those calls where they would read the script and no matter what you said, you had to answer yes, that manipulative script. Well, hardly anyone does that anymore, but they still hold that metaphor of the used car salesperson. And that's why so many people tell me that they don't like sales. They want money. Everyone wants money, but they don't want to work the sales process. And sales is about solving a problem. It's not about grabbing money. We just happen to use money and to exchange goods and services. And until we get rid of that, we all have to deal with it. And I don't recommend bartering unless you are really starting out, because when you don't exchange money, you don't give the value to what you do. So your pricing and everything is about the value you bring to the table. And it's an announcement to the world of how you value the services and products that you sell to your potential clients and customers. So always remember that. There's most folks that I work with, they're always too low on the pricing. And then once in a while I get someone that's too high, and it's usually a man. So I have to tell you that. I usually have to push my female clients to what they feel is over marketing and over pricing, when really it's who they are and the power they hold in that space. So you as a businesswoman have the power, and I don't mean an aggressive, extremely assertive stance. What I mean is your power is kind of your aura of, I'll use that word right now, your aura of what we call that connectiveness. When you make a connection, there's energy that goes between you and I. We feel it. And when you feel that, that's the time to actually ask the person, if they responded to you, whether they want to have another conversation. that is really how I judge everything. If I make a great connection on the phone, if I'm making great eye contact with someone, if someone has said something to me, I know there's something there, right? Because we can feel that energy and that excitement and that connectiveness between us. When we switch to going to ask that question, that gap becomes the ugly piece for us. And it's about how you viewed money when you were a kid from 0 to 7. So here's a little bit of the psychology piece. So if you are experiencing anything I'm talking about, just take a look back between the what you can remember up to age 7, how your family handled money, how money was talked about. And it will tell you a lot. Those sayings your family said, those, you know, my mother was famous for saying, oh, so-and-so bought a car, they must have money. Maybe they saved for 2 years to get it because they knew they were going to need one. But anyone that bought something before we did, they had money, meaning there was something kind of not nice about them. It wasn't a good thing. She was congratulating them. And so that is like a money story of all 5 of us that we've had to get over. I remember having a conversation with my brother about this. He goes, you know, I didn't realize, LoriAnne, until you became a therapist, when you said something to me about that, what that really meant and how unconsciously I was putting that out there for my own family. So you'd be surprised the little bits that we carry unconsciously. And that's what ends up having us become more committed to the struggle around going from connection to a conversation and then asking for money for them to become your client or customer. And that is the thing. We're more committed to our struggle because we're scared in that moment. It all comes down to fear, but that's a whole nother topic. But what I want you to take away from this is when you make that connection, decide, is this a potential friend? Is this a potential client or customer? Is this a potential colleague? And sometimes colleagues become friends, clients become friends. Now, I didn't have that when I had I had my therapy practice because I had some strict rules to follow. That couldn't happen. But now that I get to play in a bigger space and just use my psychology background, I've had clients become friends, colleagues have become friends, and people, organizations I go to that there's no way I'm getting business, but they're my friends. But you need to take a conscious approach to this and start thinking about it. Even if you have to make a list in 3 columns, I just think it's really important that you make a conscious effort, because you're doing some things unconsciously. If you, at this point, if you're not getting the clients you want and you're not making the kind of money you want, there's something that starts right there. So once you feel that connection and you start making that decision, it's as simple as responding to someone when they ask, what do they ask? What do you do? You know, that famous question, what do you do? And everyone has their 30-second, their 60-second. And I'm here to tell you, it just needs to be clear and concise and compelling, the 3 C's. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can be one sentence. Sometimes all I say is, you know, I help my clients make money. As simple as that. I do so much more than that, but sometimes the shorter the better, and let them respond to that and tell me more. And when they actually respond to you, again, whether it's we don't do this as much anymore, exchange business cards, but whatever, it's your responsibility as a business owner, in my opinion, to say, you seem like you're interested in this. I'd just like to get to know you. How about if we take this conversation further? Now, you can do this if you're in person. You can do this through a text message, through a DM message. Right now, virtually, I'm doing a lot of texting and private messaging, but I'm not changing the rules. I'm just changing the context. If you go to my website, what you'll see is business hasn't stopped. It's the context is different. It just looks different. And so we're adapting more virtually. And I was on a sales, it was an economic forum for executive vice presidents of sales. And I like listening to corporate America because eventually some of this stuff really rolls downhill to the small business owner. most of us are considered micro business owners. Small business owners are really folks that have 25 employees and over. They're over $1 million. Actually, 5 million is the SBA. I think that's what they've ruled now. But they are saying that their people are not able to connect as well, these executive vice presidents, virtually. And I was smiling because I knew the women that I knew, and women, or I am a member of NABO, just know how to do that piece. So the guys are struggling there and the women are not. And, but where, like I said, where you struggle is that gap. So here's what also happens that I want to be able to have you focus on, is to really pay attention to your language between that connection to that invitation to the conversation, because there are two other things that need to happen. One, you have to have, even in a short sentence, be able to provide some inspiration in your message. Once the initial message is done, your second message is someone has kind of perked their ears to what you do, want to get to know you more. And so the next few words, next few sentences, how you speak about that, not over the top. No one likes a rah-rah cheerleader in your face, but that that inspiration, the way you talk about what you do. And then the next piece is the language you use also must develop trust right there in that moment. Because if you don't develop trust, and the only way we do it at the beginning is through language. And that's a big thing I teach a lot of my clients around, not just their messaging, but right now trust is even more to the front of the page, because we're doing everything virtually, and some things that we're used to doing in person, or going, whether it's a networking event or an event itself. I just ran a sales team for a 3-day event for someone, and there were 900 people on this in this 3-day event, and all the things we needed to do to build trust up front, because of course this person was selling something on the 3rd day, at the end of the 2nd day, 3rd day, and how to do it in a way that you weren't over the top, but you needed more connection virtually, and that's using your energy. So you need to use your energy here and your words to develop trust up front before you even ask for the second conversation. And so there are simple words you can use, and I'm just going to give you 2 today, unless someone asks a question, it triggers something out. But the word because is a really nice word to use for trust, and then explain that. When you make a statement, you say because, and then what comes after the because is how it affects them, right? We've all been taught, all our potential people want to know what's in it for them. Well, that's how you frame that. And it's because you'll be able to scale your business, or you'll be able to have some clear and compelling messages. And if that's something of interest to you, why don't we have a further conversation? It's that because made the transition, and unconsciously that person went, oh, she's thinking of me. Now, I know it sounds silly to some of you, that a simple word like that, but when I did my internship for my degree in marriage and family therapy and psychology, I did an internship with a group of folks that to this day, you put language up front to utilize for transformation in the therapy room. It was back then, because it's a long time ago, back then, over 20 years ago, it was cutting edge, and now they're in the mainstream. And so I've taken a lot of what I've learned there and really developed some shortcuts in how to build trust with language. And that word because is something I want you guys to use a lot. You cannot overdo it unless you're doing it every few words, but even 2 or 3 sentences in a row is not too much. So don't be afraid to use it. The other thing, this comes from more the psychological aspects of copywriting. When you see all those big, long sales letters, I don't know about you guys, but I like to go to the end and say, how much does it cost? That's me. But they don't write them for me. They write them for everybody that wants to read everything, because they work. And so one of the 3 words they use a lot is so you can. And that's another way to build trust, because you're making it about them right there at the beginning. So because people want to know what you do, and when they're interested or they perk up, they want to know what it's for them. They don't care that you, like, no one cares that I had all those titles Carol listed and all that education I paid for. No one really cares about that. They want to know if what I say I can truly help them. So I need in the gap to be able to describe it in a short, condensed way with using words of trust. So those two, I would practice, write it out, see what you can say until it becomes natural. Because you need to, of course, say it in your own language, say it the way you speak, but use those words as, because is easy, it's one word, but so you can, that it goes in that order. Don't mess those around. I'll come after you. Really important. Okay, so I've talked to you about inspiration, about trust. Now, once you do all that, now you're going to ask for that second piece of taking it further. Here's where your leadership voice needs to start. It's really important in leadership and inspiration from now on, as you get to know them more, because when you do a discovery call or a strategy call, in that conversation, what happens is you want to know about them, right? You want to know what their goals are. You want to know what their business is, or whatever it is that you're doing as a business, whether it's B2B or B2C, doesn't matter. It's that you're going on a fact-finding trip right now, and you want to ask great questions. And more than what do you do, how is your business? Of course, for me, I always ask the question, what's your average monthly income? Because it pertains to what I talk about and what I help my clients with. And if you are one of those that needs to ask that question because it goes with your business, it is the most disconcerting question you can ever ask anybody that's a business owner, because it brings up all the psychological fears around money. I've never had anyone just say to me, oh, I do $5,000 a month. Never. It's always this explanation, because even when I was a therapist, if I asked that question, now when you're in therapy, you hear everything, right? They tell you everything. They know about someone's sex life, whose kid was rotten, whose kid was flunking, who cheated on who. Ask them about money, dead silence. So it's a human thing. Okay, it's just a human thing, and you will get your version of it depending what you're selling. Mine's a little bit more direct because I'm talking about building businesses with my clients, but you have your version when they say, well, I don't have the money, and we'll get to that in a minute. So now you've asked. Now's the time to be asking for them, and you're in this conversation. The first part of the conversation, like I said, is asking those questions. A good question is when you ask them, what's your goal with this? Your version of that sentence. What is your goal for your business? What is the goal with your presentation or whatever you're helping? But what is your goal with travel? And let them answer. And then ask them, now this is a nice question, ask them why they haven't gotten it so far. That answer to that question also tells you a lot, and it helps you from that point on to build trust, not just your knowledge. Here's a mistake. Kind of remind me where I am right now, because I really do want to say this, because at this event that I had my sales team at, it was full of women business owners, mostly. There were some men, but mostly women. And I never had met so many women lately that thought that they had all the credentials. You'll see this email tomorrow, Carol. Read my email. This is what this is about. All the credentials in the world. Now, you don't need credentials out of the wazoo to build a business. But they were more addicted to the reasons why they couldn't do it than wanting to sit in their success or the potential of success. Now, here's what happens when we've been in business for a while. We don't think we do that. But if you're not making the money and your business is not where you want it, there's something going on there for you too. Just a side note. But I'll go back. So now you're in this conversation and you're asking them why that hasn't happened so far. There's where your inspiration answers come in how you ask the next few questions. And it's not a rah-rah. Inspiration is not, oh, you can do it. That is almost like putting someone down in a sales conversation, because it's like, people are more sophisticated now. They know how the internet works. They know how Facebook works, how LinkedIn. So they know all the tricks that used to make millions for people that you just put a letter out on the internet, a sales letter, and they would make millions of dollars. It's not happening anymore because people are more sophisticated, and thank goodness. And we don't want to be like that because it was more manipulative back then. We want to be authentic. I'm all about authenticity, but I'm also about doing business in the right order. I love to talk about the business of being in business. We are really good at what we do, but we are really bad about the business of being in business. And that's where most people fall down. So when you have them answer that question, it is a hot button question, not so much for them, but for you to hear the answer. And from that moment on, to have inspiration and leadership once you start talking about how you can serve them. Now I'm really breaking this down. This conversation may not last more than 2 minutes, but I'm wanting you to understand the critical points so you can utilize that for yourself. So once you're in the conversation and you've gotten past that, inspiration and your leadership voice is really important right now. I always teach about leadership voice, but the thing I have found out now, what's so important around your leadership voice is to be able to be certain in the things you know. I can't be certain about COVID-19. I cannot be certain on how we're going to vote in November, what the economic future is for all of us, but I am certain of what I deliver. And your clients need to hear that. They need it more than ever because we are in such a fear-based uncertainty last few months. And even those of us that think we're doing well, all of a sudden you sleep 9 hours and you normally sleep 7, or you miss a call. That was me. Okay, well, you just start doing a few things. It might be subtle, but it's letting you know you cannot block everything out. You are taking all this in through osmosis, and so are the people you need to serve. And so is the money you need to make so you can survive and thrive, not just survive, but thrive. So understand certainty is really important in what you do and what you believe in and the value you bring to the table. That has to be conveyed. If you don't provide certainty, you're just dumping on them like the whole world is right now. Just because we've never gone through a pandemic or anything that we don't know. This is different for us. So we usually look back at history to figure out a problem. And this pandemic for us didn't have a whole lot of history. So we're not sure how to maneuver. So that's why a lot of people feel off kilter. I think business people feel better because I'll tell you why they feel better. Those that haven't been dumped on because of the industries that were really hit, business people tend to think, uh-oh, we'll do it. We may have to work hard, but we'll get over this. And I'm saying, yes, do that. Yes, make sure your execution is great during this time, but also recognize that you do feel what the people you're speaking to feel, and you've got to address it. And when you feel it in yourself, you've got to address that. But again, that's a whole different conversation. So now you're in the conversation, and when you are speaking about what you can do for them, it always has to be about problem solving around so you can. This is what we're going to do. We're going to have 2 calls a month so you can make sure that we're laser focused on the 2 things that we're working on this month, as an example. Actually, I had a call today with one of my clients who loves to talk all the time. So sometimes, and she processes everything out loud. That's what's going on. And so teaching her how to negotiate a contract that really needed some laser focus, not her strength, and how to do that based on who she is, because I can't change personalities. I can't change who you are, but I can help you do the best at what you should be doing. And so just a few words of language, all of a sudden she popped up and she goes, oh, that's easy to say. And it tells them exactly what I expect. Absolutely. Those are the things you've got to be able to practice right now, and especially for the next 2 to 3 years. It's really important. And the easy ask about asking for business, if you've done all that, the ask is so simple. It's like, are you ready to start? Do you want to use a Visa or a MasterCard? Do you want to start this week or the 1st of July? I had that conversation this morning. She wanted to start in August. That was okay. I took a deposit, put her in my slot, a slot she'll have. So there's all kind, that piece becomes so easy. The other piece though, when someone says yes to you, there's so much about this that is another talk, and maybe Carol will ask me back for this piece, but I will give you some help with this. When they say yes, don't overdo it with congratulations at that point. I'm going to tell you why. Psychologically, they've just made a good investment. Depending what your price point is, it could be, they're doing that. They know they need it, but they're internally, they are like, oh. And so what you don't want to do is emphasize what that fear that's going to pop up. It's natural. We all do it. Someone just signed a contract with me last week, and we were on Zoom together, and she was like, "Oh my God, my hand is shaking," all that stuff. And so you don't ignore it. You actually have to lean into it. And so what I do to calm someone down is just do the logistics. I go, okay, you've said yes, let's get the logistics done. Let's just kind of get all the little things done, name, address, credit card number. You're going to see the contract as soon as we hang up. We're going to make our deep dive call. I'm just rattling my stuff off because I know my stuff. And if someone has a question about theirs, I can help you in the Q&A. And it calms them down. It's just psychologically calming them down. And it's a way to give them certainty. And right now, like I said, it's important. Leadership and certainty are the two big things. So give them that, or the shipping, if it's a product, just go through your logistics. When someone says yes, we all have some form of logistics. And then congratulate them and say, okay, don't forget, the contract's coming, sign it. Don't forget, get it on the calendar. This is our deep dive, pull out your calendar. Sometimes people are a little unsure because they signed that contract with me. And so it's just because it's usually 6 months or a year. It's a long time. And so I just help them because they're human. They've just invested in themselves, and so many people don't do a good job of investing in themselves, and that is another conversation. But anyways, that takes you through from connection to conversation in a little bit of the close. And so I think I'm just going to open up. Gosh, I didn't even I can't do two things at once. I did not look at the chat because I cannot do two things at once. I can't even do my slides at once. I'm really bad at it because I'm in my right brain when I'm speaking, and I leave just a little left brain. So we're going to open up in the chat or questions. Unmute yourself and I will help you.
Well, that was fantastic. Yes. I mean, seriously fantastic. I took loads of notes. And yes, we do want to have you back, LoriAnne, for a part 2. Why not?
I can talk about all this stuff forever.
This is really good stuff.
It's so important to your business, and it's more than just having a script, right? It really is. So I'm going to just kind of go down the chat if more questions come in. So it says from Deborah, problem you solve. Yep. Oh, number 2. It's a clear, concise, and compelling message. That is number 2. And number 3 is your sales process, right? And again, from Tanya, clear, concise, and compelling. Yes. Okay, messaging, number 2. Yep. Because you'll be able, okay. So are you ready to start? Do you want to start next week or July? Okay, Carol, I'm not sure what that's about.
You know what, that was really how to, I guess the close. That will
it is the close.
That's
See,
really
I'm out of my right brain. See what happened?
Yeah. That's okay. Because I mean, I too struggle with, the sales process and conversation.
We all do.
And we're really good at meeting people. I'm excellent at it. I love meeting new people. But then how do you take them to the next step if they're, and I love how you said, well, make your list. Are they a friend, a colleague, or I forgot there was another one.
And you're smart. A friend, a colleague, a potential client, or customer.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so we're smart women. We kind of know. It may change, but if you're doing it right, it's okay if it changes. Right. And sometimes someone is just a friend forever, and that's good. But what I don't want you guys to do is go to networking events, whether virtual or in person, and every time you go, they think of you as a friend, and what you have taught them is not to buy from you.
Right.
That is what I see all the time. People are so connected, especially in the women business group. And it's all about friendship. And it's not that I don't want you to have friendship. I do. But then you're just there. And what do you say behind the chapter's back? Well, no one buys from me. But you've set that up. So it's a balance of what's going on there. So it's really important that people understand, yes, you're a friend, but yes, you're a businesswoman. And if you need me, I'm here for you. And this is how much I charge. Not all in one sentence, but you know what we're talking about. Any specific questions I can ask, I can answer for you. Anyone get something specific?
So, LoriAnne,
Yes.
you had some amazing, I mean, really just great information. So thank you for all of that.
Yeah.
And I'm a very, you know, kind of visual learner. So and to me, you know, right now it's just separate. And I was wondering, would you mind doing, would you be open to doing like a little role play, like maybe pretend like you just met Carol and kind of, you know, go through some of those steps that you talked about. And for me, it will help to kind of see it all together.
Yeah, yeah. I'd rather do it with someone I don't know here because I know Carol. Yeah, yeah. I'd rather do it with
You can do me.
Yeah. So, okay, we're at this virtual event. So what I would do if I didn't get a chance to talk to you, Shannon, I would contact you on one of the social media platforms since it's yours, social media agency training. You and I would start there. Okay.
Gotcha.
And so now I'll just, as if we're in person, and I'm going to talk about that. So what do you do? What do you do, Shannon?
I am a social media trainer, LoriAnne. I train people and groups on learning the social media skills that they need to learn to grow their business.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm real curious. How's it working for you during COVID?
You know, it's the busiest I've ever been.
Well, you're the wrong person to choose. You're supposed to make it hard on me.
Sorry.
Wait. You don't need me.
That doesn't mean I don't still want to grow, you know.
That's true. All right. Let me just ask you some questions. We'll see. We'll try to pick it up. Great. And is that different than what it was before?
It is. You know, I feel like before people always thought about their social media and their online skills.
Right.
Because I've also been teaching things like just how to use your computer and how to use Zoom and how to, you know, just do some basic like video editing or design things. So I think people realized with COVID that before these were nice things that they wanted to learn. And then when COVID happened, suddenly they were things that they had to learn.
Right. So Shannon, what I find with my clients, that happens all the time, and I tell them your business speaks to you. And during COVID, it has screamed at you where your gaps are and what you're doing well. So I'm real curious, Shannon, what are you learning now so you can take it past COVID? Because really, what you don't want is to be a one and done at this point. You want to be able to have the sustainability and the profitability to move forward. And I think people forget that, especially the busy ones. And so I'm real curious, have you thought about that?
You know, I haven't thought about it a lot, but it's a good question because I am realizing, and a lot of my clients have realized that it's not just a one training that they need. It's turned more into kind of like almost more of a package, which I had never really thought about before.
Yeah.
So whereas, you know, I'm doing like 1 hour a week and each week we're building on their skill level. And it's working really great. And it's not something I had thought about doing before, but I see the value in it now.
Right.
That I've had some clients that I've been doing that with.
Right. So the value now and how it can sustain itself and how your messaging can support that. So I was wondering if that's something you would want to talk about further, especially around your messaging and how you can take this pot of gold that's in your lap of clients and being busy and making sure that this continues, at least at a pace that's comfortable, that you have a sustainable and profitable business. Is that something you'd like to at least have a conversation about?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. That's pretty how simple it is, that first part. Because even though she told me she had lots of business, the one thing I do know about COVID and you guys is that, oh, that's great, I'm busy now. But what we don't want is then if you're making 10K a month now because you're busy, we don't want you to go down to 3 and slowly start losing your business. And that can happen. I've seen it too many times. I was my busiest right after 9/11. And I had to ask myself that question too. Now, I didn't want to be as busy. For 3 years after 9/11, I was my busiest. And then and toward the end was putting in some different ways of how I was working to make sure I sustained and didn't have the up and down months, because that kills a business. It's just really hard on us. And when you're beginning, it's okay. But at some point, you've got to have consistent monthly income so you can plan and know who next you may need to hire or what team member part-time and all the things we talk about. And so it's really important, as I've gone through COVID with some of my own clients and potential folks I've spoken to, what are the good pieces we can take, Shannon, out of what's happening and make sure the plan gives you consistency moving forward. And so that's what I would talk to Shannon about. And so asking the question, what I was looking for, I didn't say, oh, she's busy, she doesn't need me. I help build businesses. I didn't do that. I actually zeroed in on how I could help around messaging and making sure those aspects of her business continue. So that's just to tear that apart a little bit, what I was thinking in my head when you were speaking, Shannon. Thank you.
And it felt comfortable,
Always a comfortable conversation. It really is. It really is. I think people really know other people. They're just afraid when they're in a sales conversation and that sits in front and people feel that energy. And that's why they say no. You could even say all the right things, but if you are thinking, oh, they got to buy, I need the money, or your fear is there, or your low confidence is there, even though you're not seeing it, because I meet so many women that look confident, but they're not confident. Again, another subject matter, but people sense it. They don't know what it is. This is what they do. You go, not at this time. And then you find out, a month later, they hired someone less qualified than you for 2 times as much money. Yeah, we're all tired of that, right? That's why standing in who you are and comfortable with that certainty at that point. And I did show that example to you guys when I talked to Sharon, because when I narrowed in on being certain around sustainability and profitability, I know I said it twice. I might have said it 3 times, and that's what I was doing there.
I have a question.
Yeah, Tanya.
I have I said I started a YouTube channel and a podcast, and it's actually doing pretty good, interview wise and stuff like that. But I'm starting to see it's actually a business.
It is.
So it's like, how do you? Because I know I'm going to have to hire folks to continue to do the things. So it's like, how do you turn it from, I guess, a hobby into a business? Because I know, like I said, to have things, I have to have a virtual assistant. I have to have all these things in place, but it takes money coming in. So it's like, I mean, I have ideas of how you can profit it, but how do you really look at it without sponsorship?
A couple questions so I can at least put you in the right direction. Because this is a big question.
Yeah, it's a big question.
But I do want to leave you with something. So is the podcast the only thing you have as a business, or do you do something else?
I have a direct sale business, but of course it's not my big thing. So.
All right. And are you looking to make profit off of the podcast only?
Eventually, yes, I do. I want to, because I can see like maybe training people on how to create a podcast, because like I said, it is a business. So I could see the business aspect growing.
Yeah. So If you just do a podcast and you're looking to make money with a podcast, it can be done. It's a long tail. It's not short tail. But if you have something else that you're at least close to being ahead of people that would be coming to your podcast, that is something you can provide as a service outside of the podcast and be able to promote yourself on your podcast. Now, that promotion needs to be key within where you do that during the podcast, because you don't want people to be turned off. It's all about the sales, but it can be done beautifully. And then eventually you can also, of course, get ads on your podcast. But if it's just a podcast and you're looking to get ads or people to pay to come on your podcast, that's a good 18 months, 2 years of work without any income. So I would suggest we find something that you could also do that complements that you can promote on your own podcast.
Okay.
That's where I would go with that, because otherwise it's going to take you a long time. I don't have the patience for a podcast. I love being on podcasts, but I don't have my own podcast. But we've been putting videos out, so we're going to do videos on YouTube, not so much as a podcast. But it's a medium that people need to hear your voice in a lot of times. That's another way to build trust for people to say, yeah, I've been following your podcast for 6 months, a year, and you don't even know it. And that's how. And so when you hear that, I've taught myself to say, "Oh, really? Oh," and have a conversation around that, in case they are ready to engage with me as a client, or there's something else that we could engage together with. So,
well, thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Deborah, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Hey, that was fabulous, LoriAnne. Thank you. I heard you speak in Atlanta a couple of years ago at eWomen. So
Yeah, it was a little different talk back then.
yeah. Well, good for you. You know how to shift and be relevant. So that's awesome.
That's important for all of us.
Right. So I went to my first, I'm taking a left turn here, but you'll get where I'm going.
Okay.
I went to my first in-person networking meeting last night, and the meeting was structured differently than what we were used to. And so she said, "Tell us who you are, the name of your company, and what problem do you solve?" And in my brain, I said, "Oh crap, I don't, what problem do I solve?" Right? So luckily I wasn't first. I was towards the end, so I had some time to come up with it. But for you to just talk about what problem do you solve initially at the beginning of this, I'm like, that's missing in my message.
Yeah.
And I need to go write down a list. I just made a big to-do list of what problems do I solve? Not what do I do? I do this, or how do I do it, right? They don't want to hear that.
Yeah, if you want business, it's all about what problem you solve and what is the strategic conversation you can have based on what you do to help them get that problem solved. So, so I would do this. If anyone else is in I would make a list like you're doing, Deborah, of everything and really whittle it down to the top 3. And when someone does that again in a networking event, you want to give the number 1. You always want to go with the bold number 1 problem that you solve all the time, because people have short attention spans. Don't go on and on and on. I'm sure you heard some people last night go on and on and on. Be concise, like I like to say, and make sure it's the number 1 thing. And so people can hear it and go, "Oh, I might need that." And they'll come up to you. "I like what you said." There's your opening to have that next conversation.
And honestly, as I'm sitting here listening to that, I'm thinking from my presentation to this group yesterday, the things that people said to me, "Oh, I never thought about that before. I haven't looked at that." Then that is potentially a problem I'm solving that you didn't even know you had.
Which
right?
sets you apart from everybody else, right? So that's another important thing. There are tons of business coaches out there, but I set myself apart with all the psychology pieces around that, so my clients can get massive results in record time, because I know you're human. And just having a strategy doesn't work. If you are in your own way, if you don't know the order of business, which is another thing a lot of people don't talk about, which puts a lot of business owners, and this is one of my pet peeves, buying this here, buying that there, and it doesn't always work. So you do need strategy, but the strategy has to be based on your industry, and it has to be based on the version of you that's your version of the owner, the founder, the CEO, but we don't always know that at the beginning. Or sometimes I've got clients 10 years later, they don't know that, and they need work there, and they've made $100,000, but they're working 80 hours a week. That's like, 50 cents on the dollar, an hour. It's like when I was a babysitter. That's how much I made, 50 cents an hour.
Me too.
And $1 after midnight.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was
That
fantastic.
number one, bold. We have to be more bold in our marketing, not show off, but just bold and that certainty and that confidence of what we do. So we can get above the fray and find out how you're different than everybody else in your industry.
I love that. And I mean, what you just said, LoriAnne, about, really what sets you apart. Yes, the problem that you solve. And as I said, when I first was introduced to you and started following you and subscribed to your email, I noticed, I think what attracted me was that the fact that you were a psychotherapist, and you use that element of understanding human nature, and right. Business is about human nature,
It's all about
relationships and understanding your customers and clients, and how you speak to them, with them, react and respond, and how you make them feel, and all that stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay.
And how do you embrace yourself also in the relationship you have with yourself and the relationship you have with your business? And it's as simple of asking your business, hey business, do you feel safe in the decisions I make for you? Just turn around that question. Or would you say that in therapy to a couple? Does he make you feel safe, or does she but use it for your business and think about, oh my gosh, I'm not making the right decisions. So those are the pieces that really help my clients move forward quicker, because I'm not afraid to be radically truthful in a loving way. But I do find that that's an element that's always missing. We kind of fool ourselves. It goes back to that money thing where people fool themselves. They either think most people think they're making more than what they're making. And it's just because we lie to ourselves, not because we're mean to ourselves, but because we want it so much that it's an illusion we make. And we got to kind of nip at it a little bit so we can get to the truth, and then you can make the big bucks. Yes. Yeah. Amy, thank you. I forgot to put the cursor over.
What were you doing with me?
I forgot to put the cursor over so I could see what your first name was.
Oh. Okay, so with my business, what I've always told people in terms of the problem that I solve is that I help women end their frustrations with shopping for clothes and figuring out how to put together outfits that fit their life story.
I like that.
Any suggestions?
Yeah, yes, I hesitated because something was bubbling up. Yeah, so sometimes
bubbling up, good or bad?
No, I'm just thinking, I don't know why this came up, but I was just thinking, I wonder if she needs to add not just the lifestyle or where they are in their life, but women worry so much about their body shape, right? And so how to look fabulous, and I shop for you based on your lifestyle and your body shape, so you feel fabulous and the world sees you as bold. Because if you're in the marketing to business women, I think you need to have some words around bold, and what even Deborah was saying a little bit. Model Deborah, don't copy. That's what I tell everyone. You can model anything I say, just don't take my stuff. But really that women business owners are noticed for the right reasons. So those are the things that came up. Work with some of that and see if, I mean, I like what you said, but sometimes we need to be a little more concrete. And I think that's what I responded to in a first message.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
And let me also say that, I mean, I loved some new verbiage that I picked up from you. Just the because. I also love the if you need me, I'm here for you.
Yes.
I liked that comment, and the so you can. It was just some words that I haven't heard before in doing sales with people. And I really like learning some new phrases and new methods that make people feel comfortable.
But you have to be clear that you're building trust. And the only way we build trust is through language, because we're human beings. It goes back to being human every single time, and what human beings need to get what they need from you to move forward to give you the credit card.
Yeah, and I think making people feel comfortable. I mean, I'm not doing in-person shows right now, I'm doing them by Zoom, but a lot of times people that host direct sales parties, they're afraid to host because they don't want their friends to feel pressured into buying something, or that me as offering the storyline collection to them, she's going to want me to buy everything on the rack, whether I like it or not. She's going to say everything looks great, blah, 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 blah. So I always start, the evening by saying, this is the way I offer my product. When you try something on, if you're jumping up and down because you like the way it looks or feels, then it's something you may want to add to your closet. If you're hem-hawing around at the mirror and you're not sure or whatever, you need to put it back on the rack. It's going to be an orphan in your closet, and you're never going to wear it. And the tags are never going to come off. And I've had so many hostesses say, and because you almost feel like people are going, oh, because they're like, oh, she's, they're gonna, and it does. I mean, I've had hostesses say it really made me feel more at ease about
so you're
being
not
here and offering a product, and made my friends feel at ease that.
So you're not shoving anything down them. You're saying, if this is fabulous on you and you feel fabulous, you need to buy that. That's a direct sales question. But if you don't look good in it, you don't feel good in it, don't buy it. And it's my version of that is always, when you're ready, this is what I can do for you. And I know I can do that for you because I've done it with over 400 clients and over the years. And I just kind of make sure there's certainty, because people need that. When someone says no, sometimes what happens is there are two things that are happening. They don't trust you yet, not because you're a bad person. You didn't give them enough of that trust language and showed it in your conversation, or they don't trust themselves. And depending on your business, I actually ask that question. I actually say, so do you feel that I'm not trustworthy? I usually say, do you feel you can trust me yet that I can take your business to multiple six figures? Or is it you don't trust yourself that you can do the work? So that's an important question. You'd be surprised. Then you get into the self-confidence and the self-worth piece if it's on them. And so that's a whole nother program, short-term program I do. And I say, well, why don't we get you ready for that? Whether you work with me to build your business, I know I can help you with that because of my psychology background. I've done it for years. And so that's what I do. Right then and there's 3 months, boom. And they'll hire me for that. Half of them stay on and we do the business building. The other half don't. Life changes, things change. Sometimes they get out of their business because they were doing it because they weren't doing it for the right reasons. So
I think we need to realize too that sometimes we're not a good fit for everyone.
We're not.
And also, I feel like too, sometimes if I present the collection and someone chooses not to purchase, it could be for a variety of reasons. Either they don't have a budget, maybe they don't like this particular line, but you don't know who they know.
Right.
That even if it's a not good fit for them, or will be a good fit for them later. Maybe they're going to take a trip and they need good travel clothes. Maybe they're going to get some birthday money or Christmas money where they're able to make a purchase for themselves. Or maybe they know a friend that they think this will be a great fit for them. And even spreading the word and sharing that with other people and not poo-pooing, not everybody made
You
a
don't want to
purchase.
leave the door open. You always, listen, it doesn't matter if they're men or women, there are idiots out there. So I'm telling you, I've talked to enough of them and I've made a few mistakes and taken them on as clients, and I don't do that anymore. I've learned my lesson. They become your worst clients. And, but I always like to leave the door open, and the least I want from the conversation is them on my email list if they have to take 2 years to watch my emails before they're ready. So that's what's important to me, that the door is open and when they're ready. And sometimes people take longer to trust you, or they don't have the funds. And you're right, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they only have $5 to feed their family this week, even though the other bills are paid. I mean, I went through that myself when I first got divorced. Before everything settled, one week I had $6. Good thing for the dollar menu.
Yeah.
I mean, it was temporary, but it was still a reality. So we just don't know. And that's why I like to leave the door open with, of course, reasonable people. I will shut the door on those other people I was talking about. I say, I think I could give you a referral. That's my yeah, that's usually what I say, because it's never a good thing. All right, Carol, is this good?
Oh my gosh, this is
Okay,
fabulous. And I don't know if anyone else has any questions. I mean, we really, we've got an expert here. We can ask the expert and really have a great conversation. I feel like we are networking because we are a smaller, intimate group tonight, which is actually, I'm absolutely loving this.
I wrote all your names down. You'll see me friend you on Facebook.
Cindy, do you have anything? This is your opportunity to share whatever, if you have any questions for LoriAnne.
Well, because of COVID, my business has taken a turn because I have spent the last few months really serving my clients by helping them navigate through getting their refunds or getting their future credit or what that looks like for them. So I've spent a whole lot of time doing that, which is fine. That's what I'm here for. One lady yelled at me one day, and so the next day she emailed me and she apologized for yelling. I said, you know what? I ask God every day to show me who I need to bless and serve, and he just needed me to listen to you.
Yeah, that is that stress from COVID that a lot of people are experiencing. Yeah,
it is. They were frustrated. They need somebody to yell at, and I was there. Yeah. So, but at this point, I'm pretty much finished with that. So I really am doing things to try to make them start thinking about, okay, this is over. We need to get out of our house. We will travel. Again, I loved on Monday, and her name just left me, but about the gifts.
Yes.
So
Shibley.
Yeah. So I love that about the little gifts that I could send. You can't go to Italy right now, but here's a little something for you to think about. So that's where I am right now, doing that. So I'll call my clients, check in with them, that kind of thing. So I don't know, do you have any other suggestions?
I was just going to say, all of us, but especially you, you need to stay in touch. Carol, when you get a chance, put up the slide with my website, because I do have something you can opt into. It's all the kinds of questions you can ask in a sales conversation, and how it can be used during this period of time. And there's one as we get past it. So it's just a checklist, but it's really helpful. Not that next slide. Yeah, that one there. Pretty simple. It's my name. It's on the home page. But the minute they're ready to travel, you do need to check in, Cindy, because that you don't want to be forgotten and they go somewhere else.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
And really what's going to happen as people get more comfortable living with COVID and getting the economy really going, and it depends where you live in the country, is there are going to be other people coming out getting ready to undercut your price. Just know that.
Right,
And
right.
people are going to get be desperate, not just for you, for all of us. And
Yeah,
so protecting your current clients and your immediate future clients that you know are possibilities is really important. About
sure.
staying in touch with them, emails, phone calls. I
Mm-hmm.
sent a gift to all my current clients. I've given them more time to
Mm-hmm.
maneuver through this because they needed it from me. To be
Right.
generous in a way without giving your intellectual property away or whatever. So
Right,
it's
right.
important
And
for
I've been sending out a weekly newsletter just talking about travel around the US. So, hopefully that'll plant some seeds in their heads. But yeah, it'll come back. We just have to be patient.
Yeah, you can probably start with short trips and get them going. And then,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. You're right.
All right. Well, I don't know. I, I was going to have us do a breakout room, but I really think we've been having a great conversation and doing
Yeah,
some
we have.
networking here, just getting to know one another. And if anyone has what is their biggest takeaway from LoriAnne's presentation, we can share that. And how are you going to implement some of LoriAnne's tips and strategies that she shared with us today?
I do love the phrases that you gave us, the because and the so you can.
Yes.
Those are great. I will definitely be using those.
Yes, I encourage you to. Yes.
I like that question about, what do you feel like has been keeping you from achieving your goals or doing, what you want to be doing or achieving what you want to be achieving.
Yeah, and in that question, the other thing is sometimes they'll give a surface answer there, and I'm always one to dig. That's just my nature because of my training and because I do know people, they're protective, and so in a nice way, I will say, "Is that all?" And I'll let them answer me more, and I may ask 2 or 3 times depending on the answers I'm getting to make sure I get to the heart and emotion of it, because there's one thing I didn't say that's so important is people buy an emotion and justify with logic. That's why those logistics were first. I said yes, the yes was based on an emotion, and the logistics, when I take the credit card information, is to help them justify with logic. So what happens, you as a seller, you come in with your expertise, and the buyer comes in with emotion, and it's like 2 ships passing in the night. So I've got a new book coming out here in a few weeks. It's called The Super Glue to Sales, and it's all the psychological aspects along everything around the sales, not just conversation, but the buyer and everything. And so it's because even a CEO of a Fortune 100 company makes a buying decision on emotion, but they think they're doing it with the logic because it's good for the company, or would they buy a company, but they don't. It's been proven over and over in research. So come in and find out what that emotion is, and that question helps you. And to dig deeper, that's where you really get the emotion. Now, I have a tendency to make people cry sometimes in that question. I don't want to, but it is because I really do think what happens, I'm in my therapy mode, and I have to come out of that pretty quickly. So I've learned not to do that more and more. So just know that I'm tattling on myself, but make sure you come in with where they are before you ask for the business, where they are emotionally, and match it. Not meaning that if they're scared, you're scared, but you acknowledge that fear and you actually say something about it, and you ground it in that. And then you take them to the logical place once they say yes. Really important.
Very good. Thank you.
I wanted to say, you had that question, what problem do you solve? And I think, if you solve a problem, you are doing a service of some sort. So
yes,
I think that's a key. I didn't even really start to think, because I do solve a problem.
You do, absolutely.
It is a business.
Yeah. You solve a problem. You need, I don't know your messaging, but you need to go look at your messaging and make sure it's clear and compelling. And then you need to figure out the sales process around this podcast and how that's going to bring you income. Those three apply to any business. I don't care if it's direct sales. I don't care if it's a product. It's always the same.
I love it. Thank you.
I agree with Cindy about how the phrases were so helpful, and I know that I've already shared that I will be making my list of what problems do I solve, which I feel then leads me right into my certainty of I'm sure I can blah, 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 because I already know what that is if I make my list. Is that right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know what I can do. That's my certainty for people. Now they got to do the work. Of course, you can't just hire me and do nothing and I'm going to give you a miracle. But I have no problem saying I never doubt my work with you. And I know where you are today, I can get you beyond that. If you don't get to the number you really want, because that's usually what people come to me first, and it then becomes so much more, that's because there was a glitch along the way, and you got scared or whatever it is, I have to have that conversation. I had it again today. I actually had it today, and I said to my client, you are not going to make $200,000 if you don't change this piece of how you interact with your clients. But I could say that to her because she's already worked with me for a year. I could be that direct by then. But, that's what gets in the way. It's whatever that person is struggling with. And it's all those habits it's what we learned between 0 and 7, and then all our experiences and our habits and our whatever we've gone through life on top of that. And it shows up in our business, especially around money. It's the number one place where our personal development shows up, good and bad.
Well, that was just
Thank you.
phenomenal. Yeah, thank you so much.
Very good, very good. Thank you.
Well, I want to make sure that everyone puts their contact information in the chat box so that we all can follow up with one another. LoriAnne just did a fabulous job pouring into us, really helping us to take those conversations and all these new connections we're making online and turn them into conversations and filling in that gap. And I have totally seen the gap. I have a big gap.
Most people do.
I have a big, huge gap, LoriAnne. My goal is to focus on that July. That's going to be my focus, is let's close that gap. So thank you so much. This was just tremendous. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much for pouring into us and sharing your brilliance. Do you have a door prize for us? I totally forgot last night, Deborah.
Yeah, this is what I'll do with those of you that are still here. I've got your names and names. When the book comes out, I'll send you guys each one of my books. How's that?
Oh,
that's fantastic.
thank you.
Thank you.
A review. That's the only thing I ask in return is a review.
Okay. I think you're going to have some great reviews here.
Yeah. Because a lot of what I shared today, I just want to make sure I've got Cindy and Deborah, Amy,
Marianne Chadburn was
got it, and you.
herself. Yes. And I will be sending out the recording of this training to all of our attendees. We had several that did not join us tonight, and that's okay. The idea and the concept is get the education, the messaging, and the value out into the world. Everyone will receive the replay of the training, which is awesome. And if they don't watch it, then shame on them. Because this was really incredible. So I learned so much tonight, and I'm now super excited to implement a lot of this. So
so if you guys get in trouble and you do need to talk to me, everyone gets a 20-minute with me, and I may make an offer, so don't be insulted because I'm in the business. But it's up to you to say yes or no. But I'm always here to help. I will give some things away, and I'm saying this out loud so you do the same thing. You want to give some things away, and when you speak or present, you give your best, and then you make an offer. But it's up to you to say no. But if you're stuck just even with messaging, we could do a little custom program around messaging if that's what you need. Doesn't have to be a long-term thing. Sometimes that's the work people need, and I happen to be good at it, and I never knew it until 2 years ago. So
That's awesome. Yes. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us for virtual business after hours here at Beautiful Faces Going Places. And tomorrow we will be on day 4 with, let's see, Kate Fittis of High Heeled Success. She is a professional speaker and trainer, and she's going to be pouring into us on gaining visibility through power presentations. So it'll be awesome. So I can't wait to see your beautiful faces tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye, ladies.
everyone. Yep. Take
Bye,
care.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
bye.